Hey guys, and welcome back to another one. Now, roughly 2 months ago or so, I did introduce here on the channel the new Devolo Gigagate, which is right over here, when I did record the video about the Devolo Powerline adapters and doing the what I call the ultimate test regarding the Powerline adapters here at home. And I'll post a link right over here because in this particular video we will be doing some comparisons between the Devolo Gigagate and the Devolo Powerline adapters, and both technologies have some weaknesses and some strong points, and hopefully with these two videos you will be able to tell which of these technologies will be the best in your particular case scenario. That being said, let's go straight for the video. Hope that you guys enjoy it, and as always I'll see you in a few seconds. And we are back. So starting as always with a very quick unboxing experience. Once we open the package, we will find the Gigagate base and the Gigagate satellite, the two units that we will need to start up, which is included in the starter kit, the two Ethernet cables, two power adapters, and then a quick user guide. Now, in terms of design, I would like to mention that they look awesome. In terms of technology, in terms of network accessory, they look really awesome. This, of course, in my opinion, they only have a flaw, which is they are a magnet in terms of fingerprints, but it is okay because, in my opinion, this is something that you will place it in somewhere and then clean it and just leave it over there. Now, moving on, when we look closer at these units and starting with the base, we will have at the back a power input jack and a gigabit Ethernet port where we will connect to our router. And then when we look at one of the sides, we will have some signs here, the power indicator, and then the sign that will show us if it's connected to the satellite or not, and then the indication if we are connected to a gigabit Ethernet port or not, and the LEDs in the front. And we also have two small feet right over here so that it will balance better vertically in any surface. Now, regarding this satellite, in terms of design, it is exactly the same as the base, but it has a few differences, which one of them it is at the back. Besides the power input jack, it also has 5 Ethernet ports so that we can connect to multiple devices, one of which is a gigabit port, and then it has 4 100 megabits port. It also has that small foot right over here so that we can place it on the surface and stay secure, and it also has LEDs at the front. In this particular case, 8 LEDs, and on the right side it has the indication of what each LED means in terms of signal. Now, moving on to the connection or to the setup of these units is really simple. All we need to do is connect the base to a power adapter, and then connect one Ethernet cable to the base and to our router or switch, whatever we use as a internet source. Once that is done, we take our satellite to wherever we want and then place it, power it, and then we can connect any device to the satellite, and the satellite will connect directly to the base over Wi-Fi. I see a really fast connection between these two units, so it is pretty easy, and as you can see, plug and play in terms of connection. Then once we have everything ready, we can connect our computers, tablets, and so on over Wi-Fi and over Ethernet, the way that we prefer, and I will show you in a few seconds all the results that I did. I would also like to mention that in terms of software, we will be able to use the Devolo Cockpit, which in terms of network is one of the best, as I mentioned in several videos in the past, one of the best softwares that I've used so far to manage Powerline adapters, and on this particular case also the Devolo Gigagate, which is great to use that software. Now let's move on to the tests so that you guys can have a better perception and a better comparison comparing the, sorry for the redundancy, but comparing the Devolo Gigagate with the Powerline adapters that we have been using. And as you guys know, the house is a bit big, as I showed you on the last video, which is great to do this type of test. So I've got 3 floors and I've got all the tests right over here comparing with the Powerline adapters. And by the way, there are pros and cons, as I said on the intro, in terms of strong points and weaknesses in both the Powerline adapters and the Gigagate technology. So let's start with the test here on the office. So this is a very simple test so that we can start up and compare with the Powerline adapters. In this particular case, I could get roughly through Wi-Fi 50 megabits per second on download and 20 megabits per second on upload. And then on the Ethernet connection on the Gigagate, I could get roughly 180 something to 190 something, almost a maximum of my Ethernet connection, and then roughly 20 on upload. So with this particular test, with this first test, what I can say is that the Gigagate, as you could see, the speeds on the Wi-Fi are much lower than on the Ethernet connection when I connect any computer through the Ethernet. So at this moment, what I can rule right now is when using a Powerline adapter, you will have one bigger advantage. Well, not one Powerline adapter. In this particular case, I'm referring to the Devolo Wi-Fi AC 1200, which is one of the best that I've used so far. So what we can rule out by now is if you need a strong Wi-Fi signal, regardless of the distance, the Powerline adapter is the way to go. There's no way that the Gigagate can compete in terms of Wi-Fi to the laptop, because Wi-Fi in this particular case will be used to communicate between these two units. So when we go and grab the Wi-Fi signal to our computer, it will not be as fast when we get it directly from a Powerline adapter to the computer. And I hope that I'm explaining this better, well enough so that you can understand with this first test. Now let's move on to another distance, and the second test, as usual, was in my garage, roughly 10 meters away from here. Once again, Wi-Fi signal 39-40 megabits per second on download and roughly 19-20 seconds on upload, which is not bad at all. But when we connect to the Ethernet on the Gigagate, as you can see on screen also, we can get the maximum out of it, 197, 200 megabits on download and then 20 on upload. So once again, showing that short distances, we're talking about 10 meters away, only one wall breaking the space, and we got great speeds right over here. So in this particular case, 10 meters, 15 meters away, I would say if you want to connect with Ethernet, then the choice will be the one that you get, because either the Powerline or the Devolo Gigagate will give you great results. That is it. But if you want, once again, a Wi-Fi connection, then the Powerline has the advantage over the Gigagate. And you can, once again, sorry about that, you can check it out on the video that we did almost 2 months ago. Now, moving along on the next test is on my living room. Once again, we are talking about 15 meters away, 20 meters away. On Wi-Fi, we can get 40 megabits on download and 20 on upload. And then on the Ethernet connection, 196 on download and 20 on upload, which is, once again, great results for this kind of technology. And then moving to the basement, which is or will be my future office. I've done a few tests as well. The first one was right next or right below to where we are. We could get on Wi-Fi 44 megabits per second on download and roughly 12 on uploads. And then on the Ethernet connection, once again, 196 megabits per second on download and roughly 20 on upload. Then on the basement still, I did move around from the source or from the satellite with my laptop roughly 12 to 15 meters away, and we got interesting speeds, not bad at all in terms of Wi-Fi, 33 on download and 12 on upload, so there's not a huge loss. And then I did once again my crazy test, which I was really surprised with the Powerline adapters in the past, moving away roughly 20-25 meters away from the spot, and we could get roughly 16 megabits per second on download and 6 on upload, which is not great compared with the Powerline adapters, and just check it for yourself, but it is for mobile devices and it's situations like that, it is acceptable. So that was the basement. Now let's move on to the first floor, which I was really curious to see, and the results that I can show you is on the floor right above from this office, we can get in terms of Wi-Fi 40 megabits per second on download and 20 on upload, which is not surprising, but when we connect to Ethernet connection, once again, as you can see, really great results, 196 megabits per second on downloads and then 20 on upload, which is great. So we are talking about a distance from just above this office, and it is a great speed in terms of Ethernet. The same happened below. So as you can see, there is a some kind of a standard here showing that. Now, I didn't finish here the test. I moved a little bit further for the hall that we have on the first floor, and right there, as you can see also on screen, at least I did try to show that the Devolo satellite starts to lose signal. It has a blinking red light which will stay white and then goes to red, which means that this signal is not the strongest possible. And in terms of speeds, the Wi-Fi was not bad, 52 on download and 11 on upload. And then on the Ethernet connection, also not bad, 185, 196, so almost the maximum. In terms of upload, we reached a maximum of 16. We also hit 5, which means that the connection is not stable. So you will get great results, you will get not so great results, and you will get something even worse, which is sometimes it loses signal when we are navigating the web, which is not really cool. So this is one of the scenarios. Now, a bit further on, we have another small office that I showed on the last video, and the results were even worse. As you can see there, we got very inconsistent results, reaching from, on the Wi-Fi, 1 megabit of download speed and 7 on upload, and 25 on download and 9 on uploads. And then changing to the Ethernet connection, we got 28 on download and 9 on upload. But once again, guys, so far away, what happens is that sometimes the satellite loses connection with the base. So wrapping up this video in terms of conclusion that I could get between the Devolo Gigagate and the Devolo Powerline adapters, this is great, this type of technology, because it will eliminate some of the risks that we have. Now, I am aware that the problem that I had on the last video on the first floor, it is not because of the Powerline adapters, but yes, because my power grid is not the best, and it has some problems, which doesn't matter, but it has some problems. So I'm very limited on the first floor, and I'm a bit limited on the ground floor, on the basement, to be more accurate. So I can get that issue resolved without passing wires with the Devolo Gigagate, which is great for this kind of scenario. A short distance, either up or on the sides, which, as I shown, the garage, the living room, basement, and this first floor here, the first bedroom. It is great if we want to connect through a Ethernet connection to our devices. Let's say a set-top box and a smart TV and so on and so forth. And occasionally we want to use a phone or a tablet, and we don't mind with 40 or 50 megabits per second on maximum through Wi-Fi. So the Gigagate will cover that issue. On the other hand, if you are looking for bigger distances, as we have seen with the Powerline adapters, this is the safest way to go. And in terms of Wi-Fi speeds, the Powerline adapters show us that they have a bigger output in terms of Wi-Fi than the Gigagate. So this is the conclusion that I could get, guys. Depending on your scenario, if you are on a short space, then the Gigagate, having in mind that the best scenario will be through an Ethernet connection. If you are talking about a larger section, then the Powerline will be the best choice, having in mind that our power grid will affect the way and the speeds that we will get from one end to the other end. Guys, this is it for this particular video. Hopefully it will be helpful in some way, so that you can, especially for those that are on the market for a network solution and are trying to decide if you are going with this kind of technology, which is great, looks awesome, but it has some weak points, or if you want to try and go for the Powerline adapters, which is a great solution. I've been using them for years, but it also has some weak points, especially on our houses or on our power grids. And that being said, hope that this video was helpful once again. If it was, don't forget that usual thumbs up. My name is Roberto George, and as always, I'll see you on the next.